Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. And today, I want to talk about what everybody forgets about political data breaches, whether it's the Hunter Biden laptop situation, if you remember that, or the current president of the United States, Trump himself. The framework remains the same. Now, I hate getting political here. If you're a longtime listener or follower of mine, you know my preamble, which is cybersecurity is agnostic to politics, but we're not immune from it. And if you didn't know, President Trump may soon be facing his own Hunter Biden laptop situation in a similar vein. And so I think it's important to play by the same rules here. So I'm going to approach this situation with the president basically as I did the Hunter Biden laptop situation, which is to come at this from the standpoint of forensics, cybersecurity, and the requirements in the court of law here in the United States. So first, the news here regarding the president. If you didn't know, an Iran-linked hacker group is claiming to be in possession of a trove of stolen emails from President Trump's inner circle and is now threatening to publish the material in what U.S. officials describe as a politically motivated smear campaign. The group, operating under the alias of Robert, said that it has over 100 gigabytes of emails from key Trump allies, including White House Chief of Staff Susie Wild, longtime confidant Roger Stone, his attorney Lindsay Halligan, and even the adult film actress Stormy Daniels, which you may remember from his first term. Now, Reuters broke the story basically this past Tuesday after direct communication with these attackers who hinted at potentially selling the material, though the group offered no specifics. This threat, for the record, comes just days after Trump abruptly reversed a tentative effort to ease sanctions on Iran following Ayatollah Khamenei, he's the supreme leader of Iran, his downplaying of U.S. and Israeli airstrikes on basically Iranian nuclear facilities. If you recall, President Trump said they were completely obliterated. The Iranians say otherwise. Intel apparently says otherwise as well. But a top Iranian cleric has issued a fatwa against Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, calling the pair enemies of God. Like, a fatwa is a religious decree, and essentially Trump is now a target by virtue of that. And I've also talked about how we have to expect terror attacks here as a result of the bombing of Iran. So here we go. Because why is this situation like Hunter Biden's laptop? Let me explain. And for the record, regardless of what you think of either person or situation, I don't care if you love or hate Hunter or Trump, keep an open mind here, because we're only going to call balls and strikes. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care what side of the political aisle you are on here in the United States. We have to be consistent, and consistency is the key. And in that vein, on October 21st of 2020, only about a week or so after the Hunter Biden laptop story broke, I wrote an article for Smerconish.com entitled "The Cybersecurity Behind the Hunter Biden Laptop Story." So I'm going to be quoting and paraphrasing my article so you see where I'm coming from here. I'll also link that article so you can read it if you want to just read it in full. And remember, this is what we are talking about, and we are running on the assumption right now that this is about to break in the same way that the Hunter Biden story back in October of 2020 broke, and that's the knowledge that we have right here as I'm talking to you. So on October 14th of 2020, the New York Post published a story alleging that Hunter Biden, obviously the son of then Vice President Joe Biden, eventually who became president, dropped off his personal laptop at a Delaware computer repair shop in April of 2019. That laptop was reportedly brought in due to water damage and then never picked up by Hunter Biden himself. The repair shop owner claimed to have repeatedly attempted to contact Mr. Biden, but was unsuccessful. Now, after that, the repair shop owner said that he made a copy of the hard drive, according to the New York Post, and basically discovered incriminating evidence that Joe Biden, then vice president again, pressured Ukrainian officials to fire federal prosecutors, in addition to cozying up to Burisma. Now, Burisma was a dubious Ukrainian energy firm, and here we go. There was also a video or videos of Hunter Biden supposedly high on narcotics and engaging in adult activities with an unidentified woman. And according to the New York Post, the FBI obtained the laptop from the repair shop owner in December of 2019 and has said nothing basically at that time, as of October 21st, 2020, regarding the computer's contents. Now, additionally, a copy of that hard drive was reportedly given by that shop owner to an associate of Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York City, basically Trump ally, obviously as they are going through the, Trump was president then, as they're going through the campaign for the 2020 election. So with that, let's walk through some of the questions and concerns from a standpoint of a nonpartisan cybersecurity investigation, whether it's Biden's laptop or potentially 100 gigabytes of leak sensitive data in the Trump orbit. So first, let's talk about the Biden case. And again, we are talking about what we knew at that time in late October of 2020 and nothing in the aftermath, because obviously there was investigations, all this kind of stuff. But in October of 2020, when this broke, we at that time had to run under the assumption that the laptop itself was real and that the FBI had it. We had to then assume that it simply existed. Remember, the FBI wasn't saying anything, even that the laptop existed. So if all of that was true, the first goal of a cybersecurity expert is to validate the ownership of that laptop. In other words, it means verifying the laptop does indeed exist and belong to Hunter Biden and is not some kind of forgery designed to be a smear campaign, if you will. So remember, the repair shop owner himself stated basically that he was not sure it was Hunter Biden himself that actually dropped it off, which means that the chain of custody for that laptop has to start with the repair shop owner. This basically issue is complicated by complicates the situation of the Hunter Biden laptop issue because there is a possibility at the time that the laptop came from somewhere else, including the owner himself. In other words, we had no verifiable evidence beyond the word of essentially the owner. The FBI wasn't saying anything, Hunter Biden at the time wasn't saying anything, etc., etc. The owner, for the record, had made conflicting statements to reporters, which also compounded doubts. In the article I wrote, I have links to those, so you can go read them. Now, in that vein, think about the chain of custody of these sensitive Trump orbit emails. Can we actually verify their owners or originators were all indeed in Trump's inner circle? Trump, most notably, as far as I know, doesn't use email or anything like that, so these would be coming from people around him. So back to the Hunter situation for more comparison back in 2020. Most organizations have IT personnel. They're either outsourced or they're in-house that deal with asset management of their technology. So if that laptop was purchased through an employer of Hunter Biden, say the Beau Biden Foundation, the foundation named after his now deceased brother that he was part of, it would have a serial number from Apple that could then be identified internally as belonging to the Beau Biden Foundation. Most IT personnel can easily find who a laptop is assigned to thanks to asset management solutions. So if the foundation's responses basically are suspect in this case, then contacting Apple directly regarding the computer's registry could be another avenue of confirmation as to who actually purchased that. Separately, if this laptop was personally owned by Hunter Biden and not a company, he most likely would have given access permission to that managed service provider, that IT company, basically putting the company into their internet ecosystem. Remember, he's sending it out for repairs, right? So he's going to have or grant access to third parties like he did this shop owner when he dropped off his laptop. Now, this access could be used to identify personal devices outside of, let's say, the Beau Biden Foundation or another company's registered technology, and therefore traced back to him. And so let's head back to the current Trump situation. Emails have message headers that contain unique transactions IDs. Emails could be compared to logging against email servers to see if they're legit or made up. In other words, we have the ability to start verifying chain of custody to see if these emails are legit. And in that vein, then, we then need to discuss data integrity and possible manipulation. And so with that, let's go back to 2020 and the Biden laptop situation, because basically the data on the laptop itself needs to be examined. In repairing or fixing a computer, the technician, which we know is the shop owner, may see something on the computer that is concerning. So for an example, and this is law, if let's say a technician stumbles across something criminal such as child pornography, they are trained to stop working on the computer and notify law enforcement. This is standard practice. If I've seen these kinds of things, I'm notifying law enforcement. That is my obligation under the law in all 50 states. Some repair places, though, will go one step further and will work closely with the FBI. The FBI, for the record, will pay technicians when they identify illegal material, which motivates the technician to snoop around. For example, in 2018, Best Buy's Geek Squad was accused of snooping around on personal computers to find something incriminating for the FBI. The article I wrote also has a link to that as well. Therefore, it's not out of the possibility that this technician, which is again is the repair shop owner who could not positively identify Hunter Biden as the person that dropped it off, worked under those same standards and went looking deeply into the laptop and found what was being reported publicly at that time. Again, October of 2020 by the New York Post. However, since we don't have a transparent chain of custody, and we don't understand the Beau Biden Foundation standards and practices in terms of security or repair of equipment or asset management, the data discovered on the laptop that basically has appeared in the news, again, at that time, October of 2020, is automatically suspect. That statement is reinforced by how cybersecurity forensic examinations happen. And this is exactly the issue with the possible Iranian dump of Trump's Orbit's data right now in 2025 without understanding the full chain of custody and standard and practices of the Trump associates, whoever it is, Susan Wiley, Stormy Daniels, apparently. We have to treat all the data that the Iranians could potentially dump out to the world basically as suspect prior to any kind of verification. So consider the following points from the Biden situation back in 2020. The world at that time only knew of one copy of the alleged data of that laptop, and that was the one that was given to an associate by Rudy Giuliani. That's the one that circulated everywhere, that leaked the video and everything else. The FBI supposedly has the computer that is Hunter Biden's, as I've mentioned previously, but at the time they did not confirm that, and essentially that is a huge issue. We don't know if the data from the laptop that the FBI was supposedly having, it wasn't saying it, matched the actual data that Rudy Giuliani put out to the world. This means that the world is using a single unconformed source as a significant point of political contention. That should terrify anybody regarding the implications. That's the whole foundation, essentially, of how the Hunter Biden laptop situation started. Rudy Giuliani allegedly had a copy of the hard drive per the New York Post, and the term copy is a very interesting word to a cybersecurity professional. It is typical for a repair shop to back up data before repairing the computer due to the liability that a potential loss of data brings. That's why there's waivers, all this kind of stuff. But there are many ways to back up that data. So, did the repair shop owner simply copy and paste folders on the laptop to another device like a hard drive or flash drive? Did they back up the computer using an integrated technology like Time Machine from Apple? Did they use some type of imaging software? It takes a complete snapshot of the hard drive to basically move it to another device while they're repairing it. In other words, if the hard drive dies, you can pull the image back and have the laptop fire up on a new hard drive. Given the New York Post article's claim that the laptop had water damage, I would speculate, and again, it's speculation, right, that they would have physically extracted the hard drive from the MacBook Pro and then attach it to another computer and duplicate it via imaging software. Now, an image made in this manner, for the record, can be mounted, it can be searched, it can be used to retrieve information, but it can also be manipulated because you can insert data into an image. You can mount it and then write data into the image and then save the image again. This process can be easily done for legitimate purposes. So fixing backup corruption, for example, you have a blown Word document in your backup image, you can overwrite it with a clean one and then save the image, but it could also be used to insert false information into the laptop. That would require a forensic examination of both the image and the originating source to verify. And to this day, 2025, we have never seen a verified forensic image of that laptop. We haven't. So, the copy that Rudy Giuliani has could never hold up in court. And that's the whole point. Now, another writer at the time basically correctly equated the Hunter Biden laptop situation to a murder scene where the police showed up to the murder scene in muddy boots. They stomped around the crime scene, and then they left a whole bunch of McDonald's wrappers and containers all over the crime scene because they had lunch there. And that's exactly what we're talking about. We know now in 2025 that at least some of the Biden data and footage from that image is real. Hunter Biden himself admitted it's him in that video. But we have never gotten any kind of confirmation or guarantee that all emails, writings, and everything else is 100% legit because of everything that I've mentioned. We don't have a good chain of custody. We don't have good verification of any of this. And I would speculate that if the Iranians do dump this 100 gigabyte basically data of Trump orbit emails, there could be a lot of it that is indeed legit, but it would be so easy to insert fake emails that are damning in some way, shape, or form. This, for the record, is why courts for literally centuries have had processes and requirements in place in order to ensure that evidence is actually legit. We're going through this with deepfakes right now. It's called the liar's dividend. And so this is what we're talking about. The same standard has to apply to basically these leaked emails in Trump's orbit as we have to apply it to Hunter Biden or any other leak of this nature, which is political. And you know I hate political leaks. And so with that, this is how I ended the Hunter Biden article in October of 2020, and I quote myself. Considering all of the above, the only answer I have to give as a cybersecurity professional dealing with similar situations is this. I have no flippin' clue. Yet. There are too many gaps in the story and too many points that have no independent verification, which means a good deal of this alleged evidence is taken on faith alone. True cybersecurity professionals would never abide by this standard of proof. Time will tell one way or the other. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, please, please attempt to stay private. Take care.